prepare a cucumber salad, we want to begin by cutting it in half and removing the top. We will then use our vegetable peeler for taking off the skin. In this application, the skin is not useful because of its waxy texture, which distracts from the natural softness of the cucumber that we want to achieve and enhance. Be forewarned, this step can be a rather time-consuming process, as we are going to continue peeling until there is nothing left of the vegetable. After removing the skin from the cucumber, we want to cut it in half again, but this time lengthwise. Some cooks prefer to cut the seeds out with a knife. However, I have always enjoyed using a melon bowl, as it allows for a more controlled and easy removal. Although the seeds found within can be delicious, they are not useful in this application. After cleaning up a bit, we can begin peeling the cucumbers into thin strips, almost paper thin. We will continue doing this until there's enough to form a type of salad with. After this painstakingly long peeling process, you should have something similar to this. As you can see, the strips of the cucumbers are very thin, but just as we had hoped for, still retain their snap. For the vinaigrette, we're going to add some red wine vinegar and lemon juice to the mix. Roll out some lemons, cut them in half, and use the other hand to catch the seeds as you gently squeeze the juice from the inside. Top it off with a pinch of salt and fresh black pepper, and don't forget the chili flakes for a little heat. A small amount of mustard will homogenize the mixture, and slowly adding our extra virgin olive oil will finish the type of vinaigrette that we're looking for. Go ahead and have a taste. Fire up a cigarette. Add the cucumber. And toss it by hand, the way it was meant to be done. Once you have your fresh cucumber salad ready, seal it with some plastic wrap and mark it for easy detection later on. Before we start handling and preparing our chicken, we're going to place some plastic over the cutting board. This helps build a barrier between our cutting surface and poultry in order to prevent cross-contamination. This piece of chicken has been farm-raised, cage-free, and butchered in a kosher fashion, a high-quality, well-raised piece of meat. We're going to make a cut into the flesh. This is called a butterfly. Essentially, we will be splitting it into two symmetrical wings, even sides, even cooking. Who'll be the first gent to pass me a coin for a package of these invigorating, stimulating, rejuvenating, concentrated vitality, and this miraculous souvenir super duper household utility. We're going to cut pockets into the flesh, making sure that we maintain our even cut throughout. A chicken breast doesn't have that much fat or connective tissue. It will not be tough or require extensive cooking. After we get our final cuts, we're going to make sure we get things nice and even so we can get it flat. Now, if you're going to make chicken tenders, you could put another piece of plastic on top of this and pound out the chicken to cut it. So now that we have our butterfly chicken fillet, let's get ready to stuff it. For this dish, I have chosen mozzarella cheese. Because I have used a soft cheese, I'm going to cut it by hand. But if I were to use a harder cheese like cheddar, I would grate it, because that way we get even pieces. There's nothing that ruins a nice hot meal like a cold cheesy center. Now that we've got most of the cheese ready and inside the chicken, we'll get some roasted red peppers prepared. Give the peppers a nice quick chop and lay them into the center of the chicken cut. Also, add some fresh thyme. Thyme adds a fresh herbal taste to it and a background for the other flavors to expand upon. After we have our thyme, roasted red peppers, and cheese inside the chicken, we're going to close it up. As you can see, it closes nicely, and not a whole lot falls out at this point. To top it off in the oven, we'll add some lemon, just a nice thin slice. Before transferring over to the pan, put oil on the meat for lubrication and flavor. I'm going to use some salt. Don't be afraid to salt up the chicken. So after that, we're going to place on some of our lemon slices. Top with fresh ground black pepper, place on a tin-foil covered pan, put it in the oven and set to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 175 centigrade, and set the time for 30 minutes.
Bonsoir, mademoiselle. Ça suffit. Stop moving. I'm going to take off the tape, but you must promise you will not scream. If you scream, I will take the tongue first.
What the fuck is this?
Is this the way you were taught to greet strangers?
Well, hello, Mr. Crazy Man. It's a pleasure.
I'll call that an improvement.
Can you please tell me what I'm doing here? Why am I strapped to this table?
Not now. First, tell me about yourself.
What does that have to do with anything?
It started with my grandfather. He was a butcher in Germany. And when the Nazis took over, he fled to France. This was a bad idea because of the later occupation by the Nazi forces, but I digress. He taught me how to butcher macabre. He taught me to respect the things I put in my mouth. He taught me that you must You must get to know a cow before you take her steak. You must converse with chickens before you steal their eggs. What?
Sounds like an excuse to abduct people.
No. You missed the point. I've taken you from a life of joy, friends, to show you what it's like to be a cow. You see, we must change the paradigm. We must learn that all life should be respected in any form it may take.
So what is all this?
I call it irony. Merde, I must check the food.
What I have here from the market are some dried shiitake mushrooms and quinoa. We're going to measure out 1 cup of quinoa, which is something between a grain and a piece of protein, something similar to a superfood. After we have measured a cup of the quinoa, take out a small saucepan and add just over 2 cups of water. Because the mushrooms we are going to add will absorb some of the liquid, we need to account for this before we begin. After our water's in place, we're going to add our quinoa. We're also going to add in some of our mushrooms, salt, and pepper. Give it a mix, and then turn the heat on high. The high heat will ensure that it comes to a boil quickly. Once it comes to a boil, go ahead and mix it a little more to make sure that nothing remains on the bottom, and then place the lid back on top. Afterward, bring it down to a simmer and set the timer for 15 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to prepare some green onions. A good inspection is always worthwhile, so let's remove anything that doesn't look green. Cut off the root and remove those little tips that don't look as savory. A green onion has 2 sets of flavors, a sweeter taste near the top and a stronger onion flavor toward the bottom. In this case, we're going to achieve the best of both worlds. After our quinoa is finished cooking and you can see sprouts start to appear, give it a light toss and check for any remaining water. Add in your green onions, give it a stir, and it's ready to go.
Many things Confucius said were wise and witty too, but there's one thing that he said that thrills me through and through.
What are you doing?
I'm marking my cuts. Measure twice, cut once. You say it like this, do you not?
What does that mean?
Je vais te découper en petits morceaux.
Is that Italian or French?
I am going to cut you into little pieces. Silence, you're being so dramatic. Stupid situations. Now, what do I say about screaming, huh? Now stay still.
Every time it rains or pours, you don't hear me complain. I do what's done in Mexico, I simply let it rain. I buy a cow when milk is cheap, milk is cheap, milk is cheap. Why buy a cow when milk is cheap?
I'm very particular about how I cut my meat. All the cuts must be proper. very important that everything must be done evenly. You've been to the gym too much. You must be cooked low and slow. Have the perfect bottle of wine to go with the thigh. You must stay still. Stay still.
They call him Salty Slim. 15 years he's selling fish, and still he cannot swim.
Yes. I see stew. I see all kinds of things. Must not forget all the little pieces. If you stay so tense, you're going to be so tough. Let us make sure to get the shoulder. This is an excellent cut. This cut here, the perfect proportion of muscle, tissue, and bone to make it so magnifique. Now that you know what's going to happen, I'm going to remove the tape. Tell me, mademoiselle. Would you like some wine? It makes the process so much easier. To life. Cigarette. C'est la fin de ta vie. Zut, j'ai oublié. These are the most important marks. They correspond to the main flows of blood through your body. So you'll bleed out, but don't worry. It's painless.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.